This week, we did. I mentioned in the past that I have this fake account of at least one fake account on one-up forums, and I'm going to out one of them because I want people to appreciate just how fun this guy is. So his name is Ideal Poster.
That's you?
Ideal_poster. And part of the origins of this guy is like there was this long running tradition on OneUp of just these obscenely just pretentious posts about just dumb stuff. And the other thing is that the grammar was a mess, of course, but they were just loaded with malapropisms or like words used in the wrong context. So they were actual words, but they weren't used correctly. So we took that, and then also this tradition of like bolding random shit and italicizing it and editing your post over and over again and having a sig. I mean, that's so dumb, right? You know, someone posts on a forum, it says your name on the left, and then they sign the damn thing afterward with like a tilde or whatever. So we got all that in there. And this guy's name, some of his background is, his name is Fenster Mayhew. We list his interests on his OneUp page as forums, honor, Hanzo Steel, fingerless gloves. His avatar is a picture of like this like schmuck looking white guy with a ponytail, but like holding a katana, you know, sort of across his face, like he's some sort of Bushido master. And then where he and it's also in one of those like inspirational poster things, you know, and it says like honor beneath it. And he works at Staples in the astral plane. And so I'm going to give a few examples of these are some of the earlier posts that we did to give you an idea for the character. And then I'll like tell you the one that we just did over the weekend. Because me and Rory will take turns. We both have the account information, and sometimes we'll try to outdo each other with the most like ridiculous Ideal Poster post. And a few people would get it, but most people don't. Most people just,
of course, they don't,
because the forums are the internet's so like insane and ridiculous as it is that nothing surprises anyone anymore. You just believe that stuff is okay. All right, welcome to the community. You know? And I always imagine the emo nerd voice for this guy. So his first post was gaming, game free or don't. That was the thread title, and the don't is a question mark. Hello, friends and fellow travelers. I am something of a noob to these boards, this being my first post, but I hope to make a good impression on you and to make a few new comrades in the procedure. I encroach upon you today with a conundrum of meager yet vast proportions. Why is it that we as gamers have commenced to fear true freedom in this our most beloved hobby of gaming? Is it the enormity of responsibility we so ferment against? The thought that we may one day be accountable, if not indeed accessible, for our own enjoyment? Our arms should be raised in the euthanasia of our gaming freedom. Instead, be fearful for your ability to enjoy games that aren't as free. Will we one day throw out The Legend of Zelda, the Wind Waker, in knowing that the land of Hyrule shall always be Hyrule, and not a Hyrule of my own design? And what then of Shadow of the Colossus? Ask yourself, friends, what Master Chief can be as personable and close to your own heart than a Master Chief of your own design? I am speaking, of course, of a topic which has been focused upon numerous times by the minds of thinkers such as Miyamoto-san himself, and perhaps even the likes of those such as Steven Spielberg, who has now made his commitment to gaming freedom not only known, but renowned through his game Blocks for the Nintendo brand Wii gaming system. They postpone and indeed demand a revolution in how we game. A gaming 2.0, not unlike the Web 2.0, that enriches our lives right now, even as we surf. Okay. And then the postscript to that was, what of the much convented Game of the Year award given out by a multitude of publications? Who and how will determine whether or not the game or the civilian, if I may so refer to them, receives the prize? Time magazine was bold enough to confer upon me and you the Person of the Year award. And who then will the Electronic Gaming Monthly magazine give their Game of the Year? Little Big Planets or the users who make it acclimate? This is a topic that I perhaps cannot contemplate alone. That was the kind of shit. Like, we went on, and then I'll condense the rest because they're long posts. And then the next one was Bushido as Manifest Games. And again, these words are all used in the wrong way, and that's the point.
Right. The responses, like, to that first one you just read, people, like, believe that was a real guy, right?
There's a serious debate. People arguing that, like, no, there's still room for games that tell you a story, the story they want to tell. And
did anyone, like, point out that, like, every other word was used incorrectly?
No.
In that post? No.
What they always do is point out, like, stop trying to sound so smart. But I mean, because they get the sense. They're like, okay, this is annoying.
Something's wrong.
But not like, okay, no, you're not using any word in any like reasonable way. So then the next one, Bushido's Manifest Games, it goes sort of like, why don't more vaulted developers in the quote-unquote Western world take hints from the ageless wisdom passed to us from the peoples of the East? I am saying, for instance, the code of Bushido, which could be of great help in designing games. I will demonstrate for the uninitiate. Benevolence, as seen in Pikmin, to devote oneself to the aid of others lesser in stature than oneself. Honor and glory. Who can claim honor than the one that rescues the world from certain destruction? What glory is there in firing a weapon at an enemy rather than competing in swordplay with that said enemy? Hence the Final Fantasy series. Then filial piety presents Shenmue and says, it's one's father who one seeks to avenge, one's grandmother with whom one lives, and one's society with whom he is at peace.
That's true.
So on and on that went. So the final one, what we did this weekend is there's this awesome video. And if you're listening, you should pause right now and go to YouTube and search for Dragon Quest Jokester. And it's the television commercial for that. Or you can just go to the GFW thread. We have links of it in there. And if everyone in here but Robert's seen it. And it's kind of weird because there's this kid and he's on a beach and he's trying to set a trap for a monster, and he's got this like demon behind him. He's like pop locking, doing like the body wave, and he's always just like right behind this kid, you know, just like a little too close to him. And then he's like, I could cast a spell, and the kid's like, pipe down something. I don't think a spell's gonna work on this one. There's something weird about the kid. Like he doesn't have Down syndrome or something, right? I mean, there's some speech impediment, or it could be that he was like, maybe he's trying to convey the fact that he's scared because there's this giant monster that even his spells aren't good enough to catch. So with that, knowing that has sort of been making rounds and people have been talking about it, the post appears, and it starts off with, recently I participate in the filming of commercial for Dragon Quest Jokester. Here's a travelogue for the OneUp.com gamer boards. My co-actor and acting coach Keith rubbed my back with his knee whilst I prepared to deliver my line. The commercial story is that he can cast the spell, but I request him that no, his spell will not work. I tell my message to Keith, Demon Keith, that I don't think his spell's gonna work on this one. Keith appears forlorn but anticipatory for what come next, a shadow of monster in distance. Have any of you borne witness to my commercial on TV or on YouTube? So that got it started. People were like mad. People were upset. They're like, "Why are you pimping, your commercial?" They
thought you were like a viral marketer, or something,
right? And okay, so the follow-up was like, I feel I should inform those of you not exalting my achievement that in fact my line was not produced as originally written, as it was first. I'm not sure a spell will work on that one, but I claimed ownership of it, like unto a true connoisseur of the acted word, and said, I don't think a spell's gonna work on this one. To be honest, it was a flub to begin with, because I feared the director would call upon me to perhaps cast a true spell, or that Keith, who is a Wiccan, would curse me somehow. Through my fear was born a line that the director called acceptable. My pay for this action was a copy of Dragon Quest Jokester and Keith's Demon Ears, which I would like to put on eBay. Can a moderator of the site please make a poll on the top describing Keith's ears and perhaps how much I should inquire for them on eBay? Meanwhile, like every time it ends, we're signing it with like Fenster Mayhew 2007. I don't think a spell's gonna work on this one, and then a little picture, a little still from the commercial every single time. So then next, I told him that, okay, in addition, This is rad. Let's try to read this in a normal voice and see how fucked up it sounds. In addition, and as to whence my fearful retort, the directors placed a tennis ball upon a 30-foot rod, and it is this which we were told to direct our gaze, as 30 feet is the height of the monster. The rod had once come crashing down, thus far making a terrible noise, and never after I was unable to regain my composure. However, the director believed that my fear was the fear of the boy on the island who was attempting in earnest to seize the 30-foot monster. All the while I did recite the litany against fear, as it appeared in the works of Frank Herbert in the Dune Saga. Okay, then finally went on to say, like, hey, if you're a developer and you're reading this, I'm always eager to do future work, and then I've included a headshot, and it was just like this blasted image from the YouTube one turned to like 2000 by something, and then with like an MS Paint signature put on it saying Fenster Mayhew. And then I also told people in it that, like, oh yeah, it said, I don't mind one's making this into a desktop wallpaper, which can be enabled via right-click on Windows PCs. And then some people took screenshots of it as their desktop for their monitor.
That's awesome.
Asking to have it resized.
So how many people got it? Like, how many people got the joke?
At that point, maybe like 2 or 3. And this was after we had a bunch. I did another one where we broke down the significance of all the boss names in Metal Gear 4 that's coming out. You know how they're always ridiculous? It's like, Ravenous Raven or something. They might as well just be like Hungry Hippo or some stupid shit. It's like they're named after Otter Pops or something, But so we took and tried to say how that was like, let's just knowing nothing but their names, let's speculate on like how, what their MO is and, how they fight and who they're related to and all the shit, and broke it down. And
the thing is, it is so close to reality. I mean, these could have been real posts. Right? It's like the first thing you said on this topic.
All of the mannerisms and stuff are sort of copies of things that we've seen in one way, shape, or form. On internet boards,
rolled up into one ideal poster.
Rolled up into one ideal. Hence the name.
Wow. So are you going to retire Ideal Poster now, or now that he's been outed?
No, it'll be fun to just we'll maybe do one more and see what happens, and see if people are. Well,
people are going to be on the joke. You're
going
to get more people like playing along with you.
Yeah, and then that's even worse when they try to play along with it and it's so bad.